Kalayaan at tunay na pakikipagkaibigan, ilan lamang ito sa mga susi ng isang bansa para tuluyang matamo ang kaunlaran. Sa kabila ng mga sigalot at gulo ay narito ang mga tao at mga komunidad na handang tumulong para sa ating bansa, lalong-lalo na sa kanyang komunidad na ginagalawan. Samantala, ngayong gabi, masasaksihan natin ang pagsasama-sama ng dalawang bansa para sa pangmatagalan at matibay na pakikipagkaibigan. Magandang gabi po mga kaibigan. Ako po si George Bandola. Mula dito sa Tent City ng Manila Hotel sa lungsod ng Maynila para ihatid sa inyo ang magaganap na mahalagang event ngayong araw na ito. Ito po ang ika-116 na Philippine Independence Day at ang selebrasyon na rin ng ika-39 o ika-13 Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day dito po sa Manila Hotel. Sa mga oras ito, nakita ko na pong nandyan, mga kaibigan, ang ilan sa mga ipinagpipitaganang panauhing pandangal. And kanina, dito po sa Manila Hotel. At nakausap ko po at narito ang ating panayam kay Mr. Angel Ngu, ang Executive Vice President ng Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industries para malaman natin ano nga ba magaganap ngayong araw. Mga kaibigan, kasama ko naman po ngayon ang Executive Vice President ng Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Ito po si Mr. Angel Ngu. Okay. Magandang gabi po, sir.
Magandang gabi din ho.
Opo. Sir, paano po nyo isineselebrate itong Philippine Independence Day at kasabay na itong Philippine-Chinese Friendship Day na bakit nyo po sinasabi ito'y napakahalagang mga okasyon, lalo na para sa inyong community?
Yeah, actually, ang Philippine-Chinese Friendship Day is on June 9 and our Independence Day is June 12. So, what we did is together na lang kasi malapit na eh. But we put these things very important, especially our Independence Day. Since we are Chinese descent, so what we need is we also emphasize the Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day. No? Like today, makikita nyo, siguro it is more than 150 tables all together. And all the Chinese community, they didn't come here for free. They pay for it.
Bukod po dito, ano po yung mga event na ating masasaksihan ngayon?
Mga events which the celebration today is to convey that it's not only Filipino-Chinese friendship have been way back century old, no? Matagal na. I can say more than 1,000 years. Although nowadays we have so many, there were some little differences, but still we have so many things that we can go together. No, like business, tourism, and so many other things.
Sir, malaman ko lang, yung pong malaki ang presensya ng Filipino-Chinese community sa iba't ibang mga parte ng bansa. Paano rin po nila sineselebrate ito?
Siyempre, importante dito sa Metro Manila. As well as in Cebu City and Davao City, which is our second largest and the third largest city, nagse-celebrate din sila. But I don't know if it's today, but they will celebrate the Independence Day at the same time the Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day.
Ayun, maraming salamat po. Isa po itong malinaw na mensahe na sa kabila ng pagkakaiba-iba, magkaibang lahi man, talagang nagkakaisa ang Filipino at ang Chinese, lalong-lalo dito po sa Pilipinas.
Oo. Ganun na. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, sir.
Thank you. Sana mak-enjoy tayong lahat dito. Filipino man or Chinese man, lahat together, no? Alam mo yung friendship, hindi lang naman ngayon yun eh. Matagal na yun. At saka, tutuloy pa. No?
Okay. Very well said, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Mga kaibigan, si Mr. Angel Ngu, ang Executive Vice President ng Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industries. Actually, sinasabi nga pong napakahalaga at hitik sa kasaysayan ang selebrasyon na ito dito po sa Manila Hotel. Kung kaya nga napakahalaga, nakikita nyo naman po sa inyong mga television screen ang presensya ng ilan sa mga very important personalities na nandito. And inaasahan ang pagdating ng Pangulong Benigno S. Aquino III dito po sa napakahalagang event na ito. Nakita na rin kanina ang pagdating nitong si Chinese Ambassador Zhao Jianhua, si Senate President Franklin Drilon, at ganoon rin si Ambassador Alfredo Yao, ang presidente ng Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industries. At nakita ko na rin na dumating ang ilan sa mga secretaries led by Secretary Butch Abad at ilan pa sa mga secretaries sa DFA, si Secretary Albert Del Rosario at si Secretary Gregory Domingo ng Department of Trade and Industry. Nandito rin po ang host city mayor na si Joseph Estrada at ang ilan pa sa mga personalidad, mga leader ng host organization na Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce Industries Incorporated. Medyo mahaba yung pangalan na yan. Ibig sabihin, napakahaba na ng kasaysayan ng presensya ng mga Chinese Filipinos dito po sa ating bansa. Kung maiugat nga, base sa ilang mga panulat ng mga dalawang Chinese historian, nag-uugat pa sa 200 BC ang pakikipag-ugnayan at pakikipagkaibigan ng China sa Pilipinas, lalong-lalo na sa larangan ng trade o ng pagnenegosyo. At nitong nakalipas na June ng 2002, formal na dinagdaan ang isang proclamation number 148. At ayan, nakikita na natin si Secretary Marrojas ng DLG, Secretary Albert De Rosario at si Senate President Drilon para saksihan nga ang mga mahalagang pangyayari ngayon at inaantay din ang pagdating ng Pangulo, si Ambassador Alfredo Yao ng PCCI at sa mga leader ng PCCI, yung mga nasa inyong mga television screen ngayon. Ilan lamang yan sa 1,000 o higit pang mga personalidad at mga VIP na inaasahang darating at makikisa. Yan po si Mr. Alfonso C., ang presidente ng FFCCCII, na siyang nangunguna po dito sa pagdiriwang na ito. Katulad ng binabanggit ko, yung dalawang historian ng Chinese, sinasabi nila, talagang napakatanda na ng ugnayan na ito. At ano't anuman yung mga alingasngas o yung mga pampolitical na issue na nababalitaan natin, hindi po ito makakaapekto dahil higit sa lahat, napakarami nung kanilang bilang dito sa Pilipinas at karamihan sa kanila ay nagsasabi na mas may dugong Filipino sila ngayon kumpara dun sa mga ilan pang mga issue na ibinabato sa mga sa bansang ito. Ang Pangulo ay nakikita nyo na po sa inyong television screen ang pagdating nito sa grounds ng Manila Hotel para magsilbing panauhing pandangal nga dito po sa 116th Philippine Independence Day, nakalinsabay ng pagdiriwang din ng Philippine Friendship Day. Dito po ay 13 Philippine-Chinese Friendship Day dito pa rin po sa lungsod ng Maynila. Ito pong pagdiriwang ng Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day ay naisagawa na rin sa Filipino community sa pamamagitan ng ating ambassador doon sa Beijing, kamakalawa lamang. At ilan pang mga pagdiriwang nitong Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day ay magaganap sa ilang mga probinsya ng Cebu, ng Davao at ng ilan pang mga Chinese community. Napakahalaga ng presensya. Actually, sa bawat lugar nga na iyong puntahan, makakakita at makakakita ka ng tinatawag na Chinatown. Ito'y hindi lamang lugar. Ayan, ang pagdating ng Pangulo dito po sa 10th City, sinalubong siya ng presidente ng FFCCCII. Kausap naman ngayon si MMDA Chair Francis Tolentino at si Senate President Franklin Drilon, habang inaantay siyang tuluyang makapasok dito po sa Grand Ballroom Arena nitong 10th City ng Manila Hotel. Makikita po natin ang Pangulo ay inaalalayan na itong si Secretary Marojas patungo doon sa pinaka-presidential seats na nandun sa pinaka-entablado ng tent city. At hindi lamang po ito unang pagkakataon ang Pangulo mismo ay talagang hindi man talagang isinasama sa kanyang schedule ang pagbisita na ito o bilang panauhin sa FFCCCII sa event. Pangatlo na po ito sa loob lamang ng 6 na buwan. Ayan po. Puntahan na po natin ang magaganap ngayon dito po sa formal na pagdiriwang ngayon, gabi.
Dr. Cecilio Pedro, the Vice President of the Federation of the Filipino-Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Inc.
May I invite everyone to join me as we come before the presence of the Lord in prayer. We praise you, dear God, for this privilege to celebrate the 116th Independence Day of the Philippines. We are humbled to be in your presence. We come together also in celebration of the 13th Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day. Thank you for showing us how to care for one another. Thank you for leading us that we might work in harmony with a singular goal of doing good. We are forever in awe of your love for us and our country. We lift up to you our common desire for peace and prosperity. Thank you for your anointment of President Benigno Aquino III. Grant him the wisdom and courage as he continues to lead us towards the path of tuwid na daan and good governance. Touch the hearts of our people to work with him towards our shared aspiration of a brighter future for our country. Move in the Filipino-Chinese community so that we might do our share as we rally behind the leadership of the President. We sincerely believe, dear God, that you will make a stronger Philippines a reality within the term of President Benigno Aquino III. We are privileged to witness how you are turning this beautiful country and its people into a competitive force in the world. We submit to you our plans and purposes, and may tonight's celebration be a pleasing aroma offered up to you, our God. Salamat, Panginoon, sa patuloy ninyong patnubay sa aming mahal na bansang Pilipinas. Salamat po sa pangako ng isang maliwanag na kinabukasan para sa lahat na naniniwala sa inyo. Bigyan ninyo po kami ng sapat ng lakas upang magpatuloy sa tuwid na landas at sa aming mga kahinaan, kakulangan at kasalanan, kami ay humihingi ng patawad. Naway ang aming mga buhay ay alay lamang sa inyong dakilang pangalan. Ito ang aming dalangin sa ngalan ng banal na Jesus, ang aming tagapagligtas. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Pedro. Please be seated. Good evening and welcome to the Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Inc., the joint celebration of the 116th Philippine Independence Day and the 30th Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day. To give the welcome remark, please welcome the President of the Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Inc., Dr. Alfonso C.
Your Excellency, President Benigno S. Aquino III, Honorable Senate President Franklin Drilon, Your Excellencies, Ambassador Xiao Jianhua of the People's Republic of China, Honorable Secretary Alberto del Rosario, distinguished guests, fellow workers of the Federation and distinguished leaders and members of the Chinoy community, good evening. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to our joint celebration of the 116th Philippine Independence Day and the 30th Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day. The Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industries Incorporated, together with the entire Chinese-Filipino community, is honored to host this dinner program to celebrate these very important events. June 12, 1898 is the most important day in our nation's history. The events of that day unify our forefathers to fight for our freedom and to end more than 3 centuries of colonial rules. We commemorate our national independence to express our love for our country, and we want to install nationalism among our citizens, especially the youth. Our many heroes like Dr. Jose Rizal, Andres Bonifacio, Gabriela Silang, the Katipuneros, and thousands of Filipinos paid for what, with their lives, the precious freedom that we are now have. Also, there is one prominent Chinese figure, General Jose Ignacio Paua, who fought side by side with our people in our quest for independence. We are the successors of their great legacy. We remember victories and their patriotism acts, which remind us that we too can serve our country and be heroes of our time. 116 years ago, our heroes fought for freedom of future generations. It is but right that we also think of our future generations and ensure that we get the best opportunities possible and enjoy a respectable way of life. Let's build a brighter future for them and for our nations. To achieve this, our Federation and the Filipino-Chinese community will continue its active participation for our country's social and economic developments. I'm pleased to inform Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, that our Federation has just received an award from the Worldwide International Overseas Chinese Affairs Office of the State Council of the People's Republic of China. Number 1 out of 10 awardees, with about 200 or more countries all over the world for Chinese businessmen. Thank you. Which, with the comments that Federation, because of our social contribution to our Filipino society. These include the 3 treasures, or gift of the Filipino-Chinese community for our fellow Filipinos, the various school donations, medical missions, volunteer fire brigades, and let me also mention our calamity relief operations. As many of you may know, our Federation is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. And I take this opportunity to once again thank our beloved President Pinoy Aquino for gracing our 60th anniversary celebration last March. To celebrate our 60th year, our Federation is donating a 2-story building named Green Innovation Technology Center. Construction is going on. It's now 65% complete. We also grant full scholarship to 6 those students of the UP College of Law from first year to 4th year, and full scholarship to 60 high school graduates, mostly from public schools, to complete a bachelor degree of education. Likewise, we distributed bags of food pack to 4,000 families in Baseco, Tondo, and conducted medical missions which benefited about 2,000 or more families. During our set anniversary celebration, we invited hundreds of senior business executives and leaders of Chamber of Commerce from different countries to encourage them to invest in the Philippines. And like our beloved President Pinoy, we told them it's more fun in the Philippines. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are also pleased to celebrate the 13th Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day, which we mark its 13 years. The friendly relation between we are commemorating actually date back to thousands of years ago. In early times, our ancestors traded goods such as cloth, pearls, cotton for Chinese porcelain, silk, and ironware. Our friendship, which began long before the Western civilization came to our country, flourished as years passed by. We are confident that this friendship will not be disturbed by the current territorial dispute issue, and we hope that its peacefully and amicable resolution as soon as possible. Although there are differences, we acknowledge the advantage of sustained economic cooperation and trade ties. In 2013, China ranked as our second major trading, third largest export market, and first import supplier. The Chinese tourist market has the highest growth rate of 69.9%, or a total visitor count of 426,352 persons. We also note that many Filipino business conglomerates have established or expanded their businesses in different parts of China. Aside from this, our cooperation and partnership in the area of education and culture is also growing. Our federation, together with the Filipino-Chinese community, will work further to further enhance exchanges, bridge friendship, and promote understanding between our two peoples. And I'm pleased to inform Your Excellency that our federation, together with 6 organizations of Filipino-Chinese community, already held the groundbreaking ceremony of the 500 houses and 5 units of barrack school to the Yolanda victims in Palo Leyte. It is also our priority to build barrack schools in Yolanda's affected areas. Once again, our warmest welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay ang ating mahal na Pangulong Benigno Aquino III, mabuhay ang Filipino-Chinese friendship, mabuhay po tayong lahat. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. C. And now, may I call on the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Zhao Jianhua, to deliver his message.
Your Excellency President Benigno S. Aquino III, Your Honorable Senate President Franklin Drilon, Your Honorable Foreign Secretary De Rosario, distinguished senators, secretaries, congressmen, and other Philippine government officials, Your Honorable Dr. Alfonso G.C., President of FFCCCII, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Today, we gather here to celebrate 2 happy events. In China, we call it double happiness. One is the 116th anniversary of the Philippines Independence Day. The other is the 13th China-Philippines Friendship Day. On behalf of the Chinese Embassy, I would like to extend our warmest congratulations to you, Mr. President, and through you to the Philippine government and people. Under your wise leadership, Mr. President, the past few years has witnessed rapid and impressive economic growth in the Philippines. It is particularly worth mentioning that since last year, the Philippines economy has been in the leading position among ASEAN members, despite several major natural disasters. I'd like to take the opportunity to extend my sincere congratulations to you, Mr. President, and the Philippine government and people. The development of the Philippines is part of the bigger picture of Asia's economic growth. Asia has been universally recognized the most vibrant region and a major engine for the world economic development. Regional integration, represented by ASEAN Economic Community, ASEAN plus China, ASEAN plus China, Japan, and Korea, is also gathering momentum. The intra-regional trade has exceeded $3 trillion, and the level of trade interdependence has surpassed 50%. And all these numbers have shown that Asian countries are well on the way to become a community of common development and prosperity. China has been a major driving force for Asia's economic development and has contributed to more than 50% of Asia's economic growth for many years. China and ASEAN have become more important trade and investment partners. In 2013, the two-way trade between China and ASEAN members reached $443.6 billion, a 10.9% increase on a yearly basis. The accumulated value of China's investment in ASEAN countries exceeded $100 billion, and China has set up around 2,500 direct investment enterprises in ASEAN countries. China has been the largest trading partner of ASEAN for 4 consecutive years. In the meantime, China is also the largest trading partner of half of the ASEAN countries, including Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Myanmar, and Vietnam. And China announced in 2013 in a joint statement that both sides would strive for the bilateral trade target of $1 trillion and two-way investment of $150 billion by 2020. The comprehensive process of China's deepening reform will release enormous opportunities and bonus for the countries in this region. In the next 5 years, China will import $10 trillion worth of products, and China's outbound FDI will exceed $500 billion. Right now, China is actively promoting the upgraded version of China-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement, building the maritime city of the 21st century, and prepared to set up the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank. All these new initiatives will certainly inject strong vitality into the regional cooperation, which will firstly benefit China's neighbors, including the Philippines. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, peace and stability are precious prerequisites for economic and social development. Most Asian countries are developing countries. It is our common aspiration to maintain peace and stability and to keep the momentum of development in Asia. Both China and the Philippines are facing the pressing tasks of economic development and improving people's livelihood. We have every reason to enhance mutual trust, to seize development opportunities, and to enhance our cooperation so as to maintain regional peace and stability and achieve common development and prosperity. China and the Philippines are not only neighbors, we are also close relatives, with a history of friendly exchanges for more than 100,000 years. Now China is the second largest trading partner of the Philippines, and some people say we're the third. And in the first quarter of this year, two-way trade of our two countries reached $12.5 billion, which increased by 14.6% on a yearly basis. This growth rate ranks the second among China's trade with other members. Last year, 426,000 Chinese tourists visited the Philippines, a sharp increase of almost 70% than the previous year. Given the current trend, if we can further tap the potentials and create better conditions and atmosphere, China and the Philippines will do even better in terms of trade, investment, and tourism. Compared with our 1,000-year-old friendship and extensive cooperation, the difficulties we're facing on the South China Sea issue are temporary. It is our common responsibility to handle the South China Sea issue in a proper and peaceful manner, and it is our common responsibility to carry on and further promote bilateral friendship and cooperation inherited from our ancestors to the future generations. This serves the fundamental interests of our two countries, the well-being of our two peoples, as well as peace and stability in the region. The Chinese government has always attached great importance to its relationship with the Philippines, and I believe we have the wisdom, the patience, and the courage to settle the disputes through negotiations and consultations. I am fully confident about the future of China-Philippine relations. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, as an integral part of the Filipino society, the Chinese community in the Philippines has been making significant contributions to the social and economic development of the Philippines. The Chinese community has also been serving as an important bridge linking our two peoples and enriching our bilateral relations by promoting cultural exchanges, trade, investment, and tourism. I believe that the FFCCCII and other local Chinese associations will continue to play an important role in the development of the Philippines and in deepening of traditional friendship between our two peoples and in future cooperation between our two countries. Once again, warm congratulations to the Independence Day of the Philippines and the China-Philippines Friendship Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, His Excellency Ambassador Cao Qianhua. And at this point, may I call on the Secretary of the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Albert De Rosario, to introduce our guest of honor and speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Benigno S. Aquino III.
Thank you very much. Peace down. Senate President Franklin Redlon, Secretary Albert De Rosario, Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, His Excellency Zhao Zhanhua, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to the Philippines, His Excellency Asif Anwar Ahmed, Ambassador of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland to the Philippines, His Excellency Neil Reeder, Ambassador of Canada to the Philippines, Secretary Marojas, Chairman Francis Sorrentino, of course the very able and energetic Representative Sinaida Angping, Dr. Alfonso C. You know, one of the highlights of attending the FFCCCII meetings is to hear Pastor San Pedro and the very energetic speeches of Dr. Alfonso C. The FFCCCII Honorary Presidents, Mr. Jimmy Tang, Dr. Robin C., Dr. John Tan, Dr. Alfonso Uy, and of course, Tito Doming Lee, Mr. Angel Ngu, members of the Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and fellow workers of government, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, again, good evening. It is becoming a tradition to meet multiple times a year. In fact, this is our third meeting in just 6 months. Your organization has always worked to give back to the communities that have helped your respective businesses succeed. This is why, whenever I receive an invitation from you, I always try to make room in my schedule. In every meeting that we have had, you have made it a point to share some good news with me, whether it is in the form of a partnership with government to develop businesses or a long-term commitment to aid calamity-stricken communities. This time, perhaps, you will allow me to be the bearer of welcome news regarding an issue that has been a concern to many of you. It is my hope that the burden on the operations of your businesses will be significantly lessened now that the 24-hour express lane for trucks passing through the cities of Manila, Caloocan, Pasay, Makati, and Parañaque has been approved. Gathering today serves as a reminder of what can be achieved when selfless contribution triumphs over merely protecting oneself, and when the greater good is pursued instead of individual gains. In 2 days, we will be celebrating the 116th anniversary of the proclamation of our independence. Today, we have the opportunity to highlight the invaluable contributions not just of your organization, but also of the countless Chinese Filipinos who have sacrificed, whether in small or large part, in uplifting their families and communities, thus enabling them to take part in building a nation that is not only free, but also more just and more equitable. It is that spirit of dedicated service and sincere sacrifice that we celebrate here, a spirit that likewise burned within our forefathers as they fought for our freedom 116 years ago. It is the same spirit that Chinese Filipinos such as General Ignacio Paua during the Filipino-American War and General Vicente Lim during the Second World War demonstrated as they fought with utmost loyalty and bravery for the right of our countrymen to live with dignity on their own soil. Generations have passed since then, but that same spirit can still be seen in our brave servicemen who, despite facing certain disadvantages at times, remain determined to fulfill their sworn duty of protecting our people. That same commitment is very much alive in the volunteer firefighters who serve communities through the fire brigades you have set up, or in the members of your federation who have continuously opened doors of meaningful opportunity for our fellow Filipinos and have contributed resources towards the benefit of the majority. Take, for instance, your ongoing efforts to build classrooms for our public schools. In sum, your federation has donated more than 9,200 classrooms, which have helped address the needs of students all over the nation. Even when my predecessor claimed that there was no more classroom shortage under her administration, a claim only lent truth because they had students come to school in shifts. Your federation continued to focus on actually building what was needed. This only proves that even when it was difficult to hope for meaningful change, your commitment to our people as responsible and productive members of Filipino society remained strong. Today, however, we are able to go from strength to strength. In stark contrast with the past, when the government served as an obstacle to the growth of industry and to development, I assure you, our administration will continue partnering with you in pursuit of a prosperity that truly benefits all. All your endeavors, from assisting government in eliminating the gap in classrooms, which we inherited, to helping our countrymen recover from disaster, from developing business and enterprise, to promoting Philippine-made products, from funding your own fire brigades, to providing resources in the maintenance of peace and order, only prove that Filipinos will always stand ready to extend a hand to their fellow Filipinos. All your efforts do not only suggest just how much our federation can contribute, but more importantly, these serve as concrete examples that encourage all of us, whether in government or the private sector, to work even harder towards our shared success. As President, I cannot overstate the gratitude of our countrymen to your organization. You could have chosen to devote your resources, time, and energy to simply finding ways to expand your businesses and secure a better future only for those you personally know and care about. But instead, you have also dedicated yourselves towards improving the plight of Filipinos, thus helping jumpstart a virtuous cycle of empowerment, equitable development, and ultimately collective advancement. And just as you have chosen to do right by our people, let me guarantee you that my administration will continue to work towards protecting the rights of our people by combating corruption and upholding the rule of law in every aspect of governance. This, I believe, is the greatest tribute we can give to the many who have fought for our freedom, ensuring that the Filipino people will have the wherewithal to rise from poverty, injustice, and oppression. While we know that much remains to be done, I believe that our vision is within reach. Just as we have shown in the past that meaningful change can be achieved, that trust in government can be restored, and that by treading the straight path to progress, together we can overturn decades of neglect and misgovernance. I know that with our continued partnership, we can collectively achieve our shared ambitions, not just for our nation, but with all nations of goodwill. It is, after all, in our best interest to constantly deepen the friendship we hold with all our neighbors, both large and small. It is through this that we foster an international environment of fairness, reason, harmony, and stability, a regional and global order that is fundamental to the growth of all peoples. It is my hope that your federation will continue to work with me, not just while I am president, but even after I step down, towards fulfilling the promise of independence, in helping build a nation that serves as a wellspring of opportunity not only for our peoples, but also for our region. A society where every Filipino works hand in hand with his fellow man towards fully realizing the potential of a just and equitable Philippines. A country we can proudly bequeath to succeeding generations. And before I may I just respond to the very poignant and well thought of words of His Excellency Zhao Zhanhua. In my visit to the People's Republic of China, the state visit in 2011, perhaps one of the most encouraging things that we heard from then President Hu Jintao was that the disputes we do have in the sea that borders our respective lands should not be the sum total of our relationships. Our relationships are based on so many more things, not just on this dispute. And that peace and stability are necessary components for our own, well, for everybody's progress. Now, we did state that it is we are both committed to improving the lot and the circumstances of our peoples, and to hear them reiterated today truly fills our heart. Thank you for the very kind words. With that, I thank you all, and an advance happy Independence Day to all of you. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. President. And that ends our program. We want to thank again our guest of honor, President Benigno S. Aquino III, on behalf of the Federation of the Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce. Our appreciation for your presence and for making this occasion a truly meaningful one. And may I request all our Vice President and Auditor Treasurer to come up the stage for a photo opportunity.
Nagkakaroon ngayon ng photo opportunity ang mga at mga leader ng Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Balikan ko lamang yung ilan sa mga mahalagang binanggit ng Pangulo. Good news ito para doon sa mga negosyante at sa mga truckers na bumabiyahe dito sa Metro Manila. Ibinalita ngayon lamang ng Pangulo dito sa harapan ng mga negosyanteng Chinoy ang pagbubukas na ng 24-hour express lane para sa mga bumabiyaheng trucks sa Manila, Caloocan, Pasay, Makati at Parañaque. It has been approved ayon sa kanya. Kung kaya pala nakita natin kanina sa pagpasok pa lamang ng Pangulo ay matamang kinakausap nito itong sina Senate President Franklin Drilon at itong si MMDA Chair Francis Tolentino para dun sa kasiguruhan na tama yung ibinabalita ng Pangulo at tama yung kanyang ihahatid ng magandang balita para sa ating mga kababayang negosyante. Higit sa lahat, yung pag-highlight ng Pangulo at pagkilala nito sa tulong ng Filipino-Chinese community, hindi lamang dun sa pagkakalob ng mga tulong sa mga nasalantang lugar matapos na bayuhin ng bagyong Yolanda, kundi doon sa tulong na ibinibigay ng Filipino-Chinese community bago pa man dumating ang mga bagyong ito o mga kalamidad. Higit sa lahat, ito po yung mga tulong sa edukasyon na pinagkakaloob ng ating mga kaibigang Chinoy, lalong-lalo na mga businessmen ng Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Habang palabas ang Pangulo, binanggit ng Pangulo sa kanyang talumpati kanina, humigit kumulang na sa 9,000 mga classrooms na ibinigay ng Filipino-Chinese community para sa ating para mapalakas pang lalo, mapaganda pang lalo ang ating education system at bilang tulong na rin sa sektor na ito na siyang unang-unang pinapahalagan hindi lamang ng konstitusyon natin kundi ng Aquino.